I swear to God, man, if Sensei does what I think he might still be able to pull off, I'm never gonna forgive this man. So, we rip Coffin this episode, gets caught up in the sandblast and gets destroyed. So no more dragging his lazy butt around. But is it really gonna be like that? Probably not. He'll either end up with a new Coffin, probably more emo than before, or he's gonna strap some logs with some rope and have someone carry him around. And I swear to God, when I saw him and that old woman get left behind with Cat Bus, I looked at that and I said, I swear to God, if he makes her drag him, I'm gonna have to Isekai myself to smack some sense into Sensei. It's bad enough when there's two young, fit girls who can at least not have a heart attack, most likely dragging his bum ass around. But when I see an old woman, sure, Coffin might be quote-unquote destroyed, but you know damn well, we all know that he's lazy enough to find a way to make an old woman drag him across the goddamn Sahara Desert. A full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thoughts to any of these wonderful episodes, you know it's going to be over there exclusively. So, this show impresses. Last week's episode and the week before, those are the all-star episodes of this show. 8 and 9 are a different breed. And depending on how this arc goes, however long it lasts, if it's just going to be episode 11 or if it's going to carry into episode 12 as well, I think it's very well going to match the quality of what came before the past couple. Because there's something so beautiful about how, in a weird way, I wasn't really sure how to feel about this show, but in a way, you almost have like something in a Kino's Journey feel. Now, not saying like Kino's Journey, but that kind of idea of you go to new location after new location, and there's a unique story that you deal with, and then you move on with your character. Just this time, we do have a little bit of an endgame. Sensei wants to find his long-lost love and, you know, commit double with them. Ultimately, though, the reason why these self-contained stories work so much is because we're not really looking at it as, okay, we gotta go defeat a Demon Lord. Yeah, we know the other worlders that are basically taking the spot of the Demon Lord after they more or less beat them. Yes, that's still an endgame, but it feels less important than it would in a lot of isekai, and I think because that, it lets the kind of slice-of-life nature of going to location really thrive and flourish, because ultimately, not only are each of these individual stories so compelling, and I'm going to make a comparison, anyone who's watching the Osanubi Adventure can probably contest to this. That is a show that did such a good job in the late game of taking side characters and one-off characters and developing them to the point that you care about their stories more so than sometimes you even care about the MCs, but not because they're badly written, but just because they're so compelling. And I think the No Longer Allowed in Another World is also doing a similar thing where it's like you love the main characters, and they're a very key aspect of why these episodes are good, but whether it's, you know, a father-daughter story, whether it's, you know, a one-off adventure of sending someone back home and giving him a second chance after, you know, losing his ability to walk, to an episode like this where you have, in most fantasy, I say this all the time, people think I'm racist towards elves, and I probably am, but the elven population is generally a bunch of douchebags, let's be 100%, very high-strung up their own ass. This dude, while getting drunk on the job, but then again, our MC's popping pills on the job, so can we blame him, is actually clearly one of the most talented mages, wizards on this globe. And the reveal that for someone who could easily be such a ladies' man, have a harem for days, it seems his true love is some elderly woman. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to go the route that this is a mother figure to him, or if this was his true love that he clearly, you know, she out-aged him, because, you know, if this is a human, well, ultimately, elves and humans, you know, they age at a very different pace. But either way, like, the fact that the reveal that he comes and this woman's not talking, I assume she's trying to, like, let him go because obviously it will be painful for him to see her die, which is probably not too far off in the near future. But still, very shocking there. And I think it really goes to show that despite his kind of, like, he does have an egotistical personality. Not just because he's an elf, but because he's clearly a hotshot. I mean, the first scene we see of him, he one-shots the army to run away with their tail between their legs. Does he get got in the second round? Yes, but only really because... now, here's the thing. They were worried, so this dragon approaches, and there's this girl with the dragon. And apparently that girl is his student, which causes him to freeze up and get kidnapped. They're kind of implying that even if he would have attacked, Pride or whoever it was would have been too deadly. I'm not sure. I really feel like had he launched his attack, I think Master still would have beat student there. But that's just my hunch anyway. But they're doing such a good job. And I think very similar to the Osanubi Adventure, these are the two shows that have impressed me the most this anime season, because both of which, I kind of had a bit more hope for this one because it did sound a little more funny, but I walked in thinking a funny show, not something that would have emotion and great character writing, but more so it's funny watching a dude who always wants to off himself at any possible moment. But you have a show like The Osanubi Adventure, which you think is just going to be this dumb character who doesn't know he's powerful, and poorly written, poorly produced, turned into one of the best shows you can watch this season with completely different opinions of Rick the MC as a character. And a show like this, where you think it's just going to be a gag about a suicidal maniac, has turned into one of the most compelling and emotional isekais I can recall in recent memory. And you add in a very fun production style. I mean, when that girl was using her like ReZero diddle hands, I mean, she would have fit right there with Beetlejuice, that's all I'm saying. The show's just charming in its own right. And I had a comment, I think it was on last week's video, or maybe, I got it last week anyway, it might have been on one of the older videos I did. They mentioned how, like, it's actually refreshing to have an isekai MC with your not so typical attractive character design. Because Sensei literally has bags under his eyes, looks like he's one step away from falling over if the wind blows him over, because he weighs probably 20 pounds. He's malnutrinist as shit, and he's popping pills like it's no tomorrow. He's not hot, I mean, sure, some people are into that ugly bastard character design, but the fact that he's not just that pretty boy character design, it helps him stick out. And honestly, yes, I agree. Like, he's not ugly to look at, but he's not Hercules, let's put it like that. And I think elements like those really do help go a long way to amplify this show into being something more than just your run-of-the-mill generic isekai of the season. I need a season 2 already. You know what? I want to rewrite reality. I want Sensei's book. I want to rewrite reality so this is actually a 2-core, because I don't want to say goodbye in a couple of weeks. Because truthfully, while there's always a handful of good isekai to watch in a season, it ranges from mediocre to great. But this is one of the amazing, if not masterpiece level that is just, it's so different. And I love the style. I don't want studio change. I don't think it needs to improve visually. I like exactly how this show looks and functions. And honestly, I could go for dozens of episodes of just going to location, new personal story, obviously got the comedy, but we got that slice of life character progression, as we do have the end goal of him meeting up with the girl, who obviously gets teased once again in this episode. But ultimately, despite there being that endgame plot that does help keep it relevant long term, I'm more interested in the daily slice of life adventuring than anything, which I wouldn't normally say in a show like this. Now, of course, those are my feelings. I'd love to know what everyone's thinking, because we've had, over the past couple of episodes, some of the best episodes that you could ever ask for in a show like this. So I'm interested to see how people are feeling about this one, because while I don't think it's necessarily at the same quality of episode 8 or 9, I think by the end of episode 11 next week, it will be. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now, but let me know what you're thinking down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Kev, Joanne, Lady Killdragon, Matthew Prezeru, Kakyu, Laser, Guyton Plazank, and we also have AI 740. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You all have a good one.